We have more great news for Trump. This is devastation to the leftists trying to get him pushed off the ballots in Oregon. They're all waiting for the Supreme Court of the United States to weigh on in this thing anyways in February. It's going to dictate all events. Welcome to Doug in Exile. I'm Doug TenNapel. This is where all the happy patriots are. So if you're a happy patriot, subscribe and get on in. This is where you belong. You're our people. 3 headlines. We're going to come back to the CNN one. Oregon Supreme Court won't remove Trump from ballot for now. Says it's waiting on SCOTUS. The New York Times, Oregon Supreme Court lets Trump stay on primary ballot for now. We'll let you stay on. Is that what the country's about? We'll let you have free speech. Here's Yahoo News, Trump legal news brief. Oregon punts on removing Trump from ballot until after U.S. Supreme Court weighs in. Here's CNN, Oregon Supreme Court won't remove Trump from ballot for now, says it's waiting on SCOTUS. CNN, this Oregon Supreme Court on Friday declined to hear a bid to remove former President Donald Trump from the 2024 ballot based on the 14th Amendment's insurrection ban, saying it's waiting for the U.S. Supreme Court to rule on the issue. So this is the other issue that the U.S. Supreme Court's going to look at is Trump's name being removed in Colorado and in Maine. They're going to wait to see what precedent that shows. It doesn't do any good for them to kick him off another ballot. And as usual, it will backfire on them anyways. It'll just end up getting Trump even more votes in Oregon. It also tells you what kind of a failure it's been. The Maine and Colorado overall has been a failure to the Democrats. Because Oregon, which is full of hippies and pot smokers, go like, hey, we're not going to kick them off the ballot. Okay, we saw what happened to them. We don't want to go that route. We don't want to get in that kind of trouble and be called out as political hacks. The ruling comes after Colorado and Maine kicked Trump off the ballot after judges and officials determined that his role on the January 6th insurrection renders him ineligible for office, a completely made up, non-factual, incoherent charge. Ends justify the means charge. However, those decisions have been paused to allow for appeals. Trump has prevailed in other states where courts dismissed lawsuits on procedural grounds and never grappled with the question about January 6th. He's been beaten back challenges in, so these are all the wins he's had. Minnesota, Michigan, and Arizona. California's top election official recently decided to keep him on the ballot there as well. See what I mean? When you're Colorado and Maine and you're to the left of lunatic California, you're way over your skis. The Supreme Court's going to beat you down hard. The Oregon court did not rule on the merits of the challenge, specifically citing the ongoing litigation at the U.S. Supreme Court, which will hear oral arguments in the Colorado case on February 8th as they laugh them out of the Supreme Court. Lawsuits like these have been filed by Trump critics across the country who say they've simply trying to enforce the 14th Amendment, which is silly. They have said the insurrection ban was designed specifically to protect the country from someone like Trump, who, in their eyes, violated his oath of office when he tried to overturn the 2020 election and incited the deadly Capitol riot. That is all utterly made-up charges about Trump. Trump has claimed that the lawsuits are a thinly veiled attempt to abuse the legal system and distort the Constitution in a way that blocks him from the White House because he can't be beaten at the polls. And that's what the Supreme Court's going to prove next month. Free speech. Now, here's the group that did this whole thing. Free speech for the people, and you always know it's a lie by the Democrats, the leftists. You always know it's a lie because the leftist always names their group the opposite of what it actually is. Free speech for the people is the group's name. Their idea of free speech for the people is by removing Trump's free speech and removing him. A liberal advocacy group filed the lawsuit late last year directly at the Oregon Supreme Court. Quote, the Oregon Supreme Court's decision not to decide is disappointing, the group said in a statement Friday. Quote, waiting until the U.S. Supreme Court issues its order only compresses the time that the Oregon Supreme Court may have to resolve this issue that may remain. No, they don't want to get embarrassed by the Supreme Court because they sided with a radical anti-free speech, anti-election, election denying leftist group. So at least Oregon's not making that mistake, and everyone's waiting to see what happens, which is right to do. Giving the authority to the Supreme Court, they don't want to embarrass themselves further. But that's our take on it. What do you guys think in the comments below? Will another state come up and kick Trump's name off the ballot? Because I think they're all heeding the warning. Let's not do that. I'm Doug in Exile.